Scrappy friends, welcome to the very first episode of Mojo Busters. If you haven't seen and want to listen to my thought process for picking the photo that I picked, you can look in the info box below, and I have a video where I just kind of talk through and ramble through a whole bunch of different fun stuff about picking a photo. And yeah, pretty much I picked my photo based on those triangles. I am scrap lifting myself because this week Christy is challenging us to scrap lift ourselves. I know each of us are going to be picking doing our challenge based on stuff that helps us when we have a hard time finding creativity or inspiration. And I think that sometimes just when your brain is fried, like many of us, right? Us moms, us daughters, us wives, us business women, we get busy, right? And when you're busy, you can't use your brain to just think about scrappy stuff all the time. I know that's part of my problem. And I think that when you scrap lift or use a sketch, that part of figuring out the design is lifted off. So that's what I'm doing. I am scrap lifting myself, and the original had triangles on the top and the bottom, and so I'm using these Pink Fresh Studios acetate triangles, and they match really well with the color of this photo. So I find that if I pick a photo that I'm inspired to scrap, that definitely helps spark just a little bit of what I need to get me going. It kind of reminds me of sometimes when it's chilly in the morning and you go to start your car and your car goes vroom, or it goes because it doesn't want to start and it just needs you to sit there for a minute and it needs to warm up, so you have to let the car sit there and warm up. And I think sometimes I don't know where I'm going with that. So anyway, sometimes we need to look through our photos and see what photo just sparks, just warms our soul, right? So I know one of the tips in my other video was to make sure that you are picking photos that spark that, that sparks something, that sparks a story, that's, it could just be a pretty photo. If it's pretty and you want to scrap it, scrap it. I think sometimes we get caught up in this trap of feeling like we have to have a layout that tells a story. We have to have a layout that is artsy. We have to have a layout that has the trends on it. Sometimes you just got to do what's comfortable, and taking a layout that you've made before and that you love and just scrap lifting yourself is a great way to take that strain off of having to come up with the design, having to reinvent the wheel. And by picking a photo that just makes you smile is gonna make you want to scrap it. Now, with that said, you still might not love the end result, right? And that is part of, I think, this process for me is sometimes once I get going, the car warms up, right? And I find that with me, if I take too long of a break Like, say I have a week where the beginning of the week I get a lot of stuff done, and then by the end of the week I'm tired and I just want to relax. And so I take those breaks, but I don't really think about scrapbooking. I find that when I come back a few days later, it's like I have to let the car warm up again. And it really stinks. So I find that if I try to do something, and it could just be looking on Pinterest for ideas that spark, looking through my photos for an idea, or thinking about ideas that things I want to add to my albums, that helps. It doesn't always do the entire trick, but you know, it helps. And I mean, I know we can't always do this, and if you can't do it, don't put that pressure on yourself. I mean, most of us we're just doing this because we love it. We're just doing it to have fun. You know, if you're not on design teams and you're not having to come up with work every single day and you just can't get it done, try not to make yourself feel bad. I find that when I do that, that takes the pressure off and I can create a lot better. And one thing I did was I picked a layout that I really liked, and it just sparked. I've been wanting to scrap lift myself, and it had hand stitching, which is something I love on the layout, but it's not particularly fun at the time. I think it's because of the way that I scrap. I find that if I'm doing a layout, I like to start it and finish it in one session if I can. Actually, it sometimes makes it so much harder if I have to stop. Like, I have 2 layouts sitting on my desk right now in which they are half done, and I'm seeing them and they're screaming at me because I don't have them done. And so I find that if I can get something done all at one time, it works the best, but that's not always the case. And so I just, you know, but I really wanted to do this, and so I decided to use the gold. You'll be able to see it in the close-ups, definitely. And I'm going to make sure that I have a blog post for this so that you can see the close-ups, because just even if I had a blog post full of photos, which is not me, if you guys follow me on my blog at all, you'll know that I am all words and lots of photos. I definitely like to be wordy but I really like to show what I'm doing too. So I use big pictures and lots of words, and if you don't like the words, then just look through the photos. I'm cool with that. I know we don't all have time to read blogs, but I really like the conversations that you can have through blog posts and a relationship. It's kind of like this ongoing relationship that you have when you blog, at least for me, and I can just spill things out. And you know, I think in the long run, it'll be fun to go back and see all these blog posts. It's kind of like a journal for me. So even though I don't journal, if you know what I mean. But anyway, so back to what I'm doing. Okay, so you see me put down my title. I used my silhouette to cut out First Frost. Now this picture is actually the dew that is almost frosted. It's really hard to tell because this week in particular, it got very cold. My husband said his car was frosted. So by the time I got out, it was kind of starting to melt and it wasn't as frosty. So now I'm just putting on some sequins, and I'm almost done with this. So I've talked mostly just about stuff and not really about what I was doing. I did some layers. I tried to stick with things that are fun, that I like to do. But I also was trying to think of a way to do something simple. And I actually chose not to use the pattern paper as the main paper, just because I really have been digging using white cardstock. And sometimes I feel bad that I'm using white cardstock, but I think that the key is to not tear yourself down. If you are enjoying using a certain product, use it. Keep using it. Keep using it. I mean, if it makes you happy, then keep doing it. And I think that's part of something about scrapping, that, you know, we tear ourselves down for doing stuff that we don't love. But, you know, it's this balance of doing something comfortable and doing something where you're using your muscle. So scrapbooking and using that creative muscle, it's this balance of doing, you know, so if you're in a time where you're not feeling your creativity, just do something that feels comfortable. Because just by keep doing that comfortable thing, your brain will, your creativity will want to be it's like it's a muscle. So if you keep exercising, you're going to want to keep doing it, right? So that's just what I say. You just sometimes got to go through it. So I love these close-ups. I'm sorry. So I hope you guys check out the other ladies' videos. Don't forget to comment, and you will be able to be entered into the drawing. And I will see you guys next week.